When I was listening, and I listened with the book in front of me,
Mm.
or I listened with the I think I had the ebook in front of me, and I was kind of going through, or the PDF, and I was going through to make sure that everything was there, because, and then there was one or two times I think where I was like, hey, this sentence, oh, the word mobile. I was wondering if we could talk about the, oh, sorry.
Not your fault. No, that was so this is why one, yes, reading the book for plot reasons, but also to find things, words that you're unfamiliar with, names that you're unfamiliar with. You have to do all that research or you're going to end up like me with a long spreadsheet of pickups and half of them are all the pronunciation of Mobile, Alabama, not mobile. Yeah, Mobile versus mobile.
I was like, oh, he made that mistake once. And I was like, all right, it's mentioned in the
And
book
I
like
did it
12 to 15
every
spots. So I
time.
just let it slide. And then it happened on this page and that page and that page. And I was finally like, my email to Jacqueline was that I loved it, but can we fix this one thing? Because it's like, it was like the claws on the chalkboard. I was like,
Yeah. And you have
it,
to because people, this is set in the real world. So people from uh Mobile are gonna be like, what is he doing? So you
yeah.
can't let that go at all. So
Yeah, and
hiccups.
what was interesting though is my friend who narrated the trailer for the original trailer with the radio voice, he actually pronounced it as JaMark.
Then okay, yeah.
And he was the only person that said it as JaMark instead of JaMark. And I've always said it JaMark. And he
Okay.
was like, is that good? And I was like, yeah, you pronounce my main character's name a little different, but I'm perfectly fine with that
Mm,
because it's the way that he approached it. And I feel like when you give a character a name, you don't really give it a pronunciation.
mm.
But in your case, 100%, you're giving it a pronunciation as well. So it lives on now in the audiobook as JaMark,
It's
but
canon now.
it is definitely canon now, which is great because I didn't have to cross that bridge. Somebody says, oh, is it JaMark or JaMark? I'll be like, well, the audiobook is JaMark. So Torian did that, not me.
It's so funny. Yeah, the things that you end up writing that I guess you almost take for granted, like because a lot of the times the readers are interpreting a lot of what's written on the page. It's a little different in each person's head, but when you bring the audiobook into it, you're really solidifying a lot of context based on how
Right.
it's said.
So now let me ask you this. Were you familiar or have you been familiar with like the blues as a music and the culture of it? You said you weren't as overly familiar with baseball, you're not a sports fan, but the book does have a good balance of blues and blues history and
Mm.
blues references in there. Are you familiar with that? And especially starting with the Crossroads and the devil and all that stuff.
Much more than like the music itself, I could not call myself much of an aficionado about. So I know we had talked about in Florida about a lot of the references that you were able to put in the book, and it was just like, what? This all went completely over my head when I was reading. I had no idea all these things were going on. Um, so to me, they're like really wonderful Easter eggs in the book. If you're familiar, then you're gonna enjoy it that much more because you're going to catch all those moments. But that speaks to the quality of your writing because it works on both levels. Someone who is well informed is going to get that extra layer, but it also really works on the surface too. This great fantastical story about this guy and the supernatural being he's at odds with. So, you know, great job.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.